1 second there on the idea of when the person has a good standing relationship, but there are elements around him or her that can change that, such as the price increase you mentioned. Let's reverse the roles for a second. The company has had good standing with its clients, but now it's an individual who's had the issue with trust.
Right.
What does an executive in that situation do to handle that?
The executive of the individual who's lost trust.
Yes.
It's time to have some authentic discussions with that individual. It's probably better to talk with the customer and get some corroboration from the customer around what's going on. It's very expensive to eliminate roles and to hire and fire people today, and I believe everybody can be salvaged. I always try to take a positive approach on that. But it all gets down to the relationship with that person, and can that relationship be salvaged? So the first thing I would do, I was a VP of sales for many years. I would go talk to the customer and find out, why is there a disconnect here? What the actual issue is. If it truly is an integrity issue, I'll ask the customer straight up, is it possible to repair that with Ed in the mix here? Or do we need to bring another person in? And depending on which way they take it, then I'll take it down that direction.
That might be an issue that companies experience from time to time, where they assume that the relationship is tied solely to one person. One of the suggestions...
It is a lot.
But one of the suggestions you made, though, is bringing in someone else. And I think that's an interesting idea because, as you said, if you believe every relationship can be salvaged, sometimes it doesn't rest in one person's hands. And now you get into the idea of the group being representative of the organization and being able to be interchangeable to build or grow the relationship as needed.
Well, you're touching on an area that we call the evolution of horizontal and or lateral and vertical relationships. So let's say, Andrew, you built a great relationship with a customer, and everything's going great. You're professional peers, you're moving up the relational ladder, there's a lot of integrity, trust, you're comfortable with each other, business is flowing, right? It's now time to start thinking about a strategy for when, let's say I'm your customer, I get promoted or I leave. I go to another company. How am I going to protect myself and our company in that account when everything is concentrated in one person? The first thing I should be doing, the first thing I would suggest you do is try to meet some people laterally to my role. Try to meet some of the people that report to me. Try to meet my boss, even if my boss is the CEO. And then start launching relationships with these other people laterally and horizontally, laterally and vertically, as we call it. In the context of doing that, it would behoove you to also start bringing more members of your team in. Here's a great example. You're a great salesperson, sales executive, selling professional, whatever. Our parents never expected us to be salespeople. I'm sure my mother held me. She wasn't looking at a future selling professional. She was looking at, oh, maybe little Eddie will be a doctor, or maybe he'll be a lawyer. But we all know that salespeople, and sales is an incredible profession, and generally they make more money than most of the titles I just mentioned. The thing that we try to focus on is, it's time to start thinking about the relationship beyond the business performance you're currently getting, and how do I insulate, how do I bring more people into it so that you're also dispensable. Because maybe they want to take you and assign you to another account. When that handoff happens, in general, if the strategies I'm suggesting are not in place, there's about a 52% atrophy in the strength of the relationship. And within a year, price comes up again. And there's a firm called Ask Forensics, and we've studied their research. And they'll say that, Andrew built a great relationship. He spent time. He put the time in. He spent years on this. He knows all the people in the firm. And now he's got to hand the relationship off to a new person. There's the better than 50-50 chance that that person will not have the same relationship you had, will not approach the way you did, and the 3-year contract you negotiated, in year 2 they're going to be complaining about the price.